Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Wizard Factory. This is yet another astrological weather report with Rodney, and this is going to be a big one. It's been a pretty good while since I've done one of these, so we're going to be wrapping up the year with a Q4 report. So that's coming up next. Stay tuned. All right, you know what to do. Make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe if you're new here. If you're not, welcome back. These weather reports are always very empowering and just give you a good bearing on what's happening in the ethers, as of course, through the law of correspondence, as above, so below. How does that affect us energetically? But more importantly, because we're not just victims to the stars, right? What can we do about it? How can we not only navigate these energies, but make the most of them, right? Leverage them to our advantage. So without further ado, let's bring Mr. Rodney on here and we're going to just dive right into it. So welcome back to the show, brother. It's been, I don't know, it's been like a couple months, I think.
Man, I don't think we've done it in one of these since May or June.
Yeah, it's been a good little while here. We've both been busy with big projects. I'm getting ready to announce my big project for this channel here very soon.
Yeah.
In fact, if you guys hit that like button and leave a comment below, then I'll think about saying something at the end here about it. But Rodney, what you been up to, man?
Oh yeah, just forging, man. Keeping things above board. Really, dialing in on the business I started, and wear a lot of hats. So got to be able to kind of spread my energies around and trying to stay balanced at the same time, yet still doing my path work on top of that. And of course, I'm in a band as well. So doing gigs, and we're getting ready to go into the studio here soon to put out our third CD. So there's a lot. I got a lot on the table, man. But you know what? I love it. And yeah, I love it. And it's better than watching reruns of Law and Order. So
that's the truth, man. You're putting your creative force out into the world, and that's what we need to be doing right now.
Yeah, being magicians and mages and wizards, man, we've got to be able to forge something. We can't be stagnant with our energy field.
Yep, especially now.
Yeah,
and like you're doing, taking multiple fronts, right? You got
absolutely.
music, you got food, you got content. I mean,
yeah,
that's a beautiful thing.
Exactly. And we're putting the wizardry into each one of those. It takes the formation of thought, and then taking that thought and then being able to pinpoint it. When you're double-minded, right? Gemini, you get that double-minded aspect going on, then you're not manifesting anything in context to, the universe. I saw a post the other day about someone was saying that, you can set your intent for something and then send it out to the universe, but it gets influenced by the collective mind. And in some ways that's true, but there's tools that we can use, and you have those tools in your repertoire, along with some of your courses and things about the circle of the mage, and then being able to create that space within your own universe, which I believe bypasses the whole aspect of the collective mind, and you get that direct connection to the higher force itself. And so that bypasses all of the chatter and white noise of the ethers in context to all the bullshit, and you ascend through that cone of power and connect to that, to that central sun, to that higher force, grounding yourself into the earth core, and then being able to navigate that energy in the space of the circle, which is the zero, which is the sum of all things.
Exactly.
So,
which, by the way, that's a great point on the circle. So anyone who hasn't checked out the initiation package yet, that's a free mini course where I do teach that particular thing and a few other very practical, simple, easy to implement right away techniques and energy work and things like that. Plus you get access to our community, which is more important now than ever. People want to connect. I want to connect with you guys, and I want people to connect with each other.
Absolutely.
So we can all share our strengths and our support. all that good stuff. So click the link below for that in the description box. But Rodney, let's get into some of the
Yeah.
astrological aspects. Would you start us off by sort of just giving us an overview of what aspects we're going to cover today, and then we can start unpacking those one by one?
So I'd like to go back and look at the new moon energy in October with the Aries new moon that we had.
Yeah, that was
But that was a very powerful new moon. It had a very powerful setup there. And then, of course, we had the eclipse in Libra that was in October as well. And that was setting up this energy and context to the new moon. And then we had Samhain, which was a very, very powerful setup as well in context to ancestral energy. This eclipse in Libra, the new moon in Aries on that 1-7 axis, which is the world axis, by the way, in context to what are we dealing with? We're dealing with Aries and Libra, so it's equinox energy, equal parts of light and darkness, right? So we're dealing with what? Fall and spring in context to the world axis or the axis mundi. So when we're looking at that energy, that affects those particular, nodal points, because we're on the nodes there as well, affect the whole planet in context to the axis points. So when we're looking at that type of energy, the 410 axis and the 1-7 axis, those particular energies are very, very powerful. Not saying all the other ones are not, but they are on the world axis in context to the change of seasons and the directions of how things actually go. So when we're looking at that, this was a very powerful shift that was signaling in the heavens something that was a mega shift that was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'd like to get into we're Jupiter retrograde now in Gemini, and then also the full moon coming up in Taurus. That's going to be conjunct Uranus, and then we have Mars retrograde starting December 6th. So there's a lot to get into, a lot to pack, man.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So taking it back to the October 17th new moon, powerful setup with a grand cross. So that energy was basically signaling with that particular new moon, that was that 1-7 axis point again, and then the new moon in Aries. Excuse me, it's not new moon. My bad. It's full moon. Full moon in Aries, and that Libra sun, in opposition. That literally set up a grand cross, and that particular grand cross was running a very strong kite formation to the opposition of Pluto and Mars. So when we're looking at these type of energies, man, let me tell you something. They are fast track growth energies, okay, and major shift energies. So these September, October, especially October, and now going into November, I know for a fact that there has been major growths in people if they're on this path work because of the setups that have been taking place in the heavens. So looking at all of these energies that have been configuring in context to the planetary solar system, we have seen not only a grand cross setup, right? But on Samhain, we saw literally a double kite formation. I'm not going to get into what that means because that's, but it's major growth and shifting taking place. Okay. So when we're looking at these type of energies that are presenting themselves in the heaven, and they're saying, hey, get ready, some shit is really getting ready to happen, not only in your personal life, but on a collective level, you have to look at it. You got to take a look at the heavens and say, whoa, wait a second, man. We're getting ready to hit a catapult with some things, not only in context to our path, we're going into 2025 now. Man, we are getting ready to have some major growth, okay? And I can't tell you how excited I am about it, because this is empowering to us as mages. In context to this, right now we've got Jupiter in Gemini, and it's retrograding right now. So things are going to slow down a bit, right? Go internal, and things are going to slow down some in context to, Jupiter pulling back, right? So now this is a time that we can retrospect and begin to look at how exactly are we integrating the polarities in context to our balance in Libra, right? Because that we had a Libra eclipse, we had the new moon, and then the Aries full moon. All that happened in October, and that whole setup then brought us into that space where we can begin now to look at with Jupiter retrograding in Gemini. We can take a look at, okay, how is my energy field, how am my auric field, how am I igniting it? What am I doing internal work that's taking me to that next level in context to my, my passion, the ignition of my core, my heart intelligence. How am I communicating myself? How am I bringing myself into a place of balance to the polarities? Taking that Gemini energy and being able to take it and bring it into a space where I am finding that balance and able to use both sides of the hemispheres of my brain, of my mind, to bring that balance into the reality field, create that space of neutrality, and then charge the energies like we do as wizards into the place that's going to benefit us. That's what, because Jupiter is a beneficial planet. It's very powerful context to your luck and your prosperity. That's how we're going to do it, is through communication right now. So taking a look on an internal basis, again, diving inside, going deep within yourself, and then being able to pull out those pearls, man, pull out those gems, pull out those things that you've been waiting to take a look at, reform them, bring them into a higher space, a higher consciousness, and then get ready for Jupiter then to go direct back into Gemini, and then we're on that cycle again. I don't know if you've noticed, Logan, how fast this year has went.
Yeah, I can't believe it's over. I mean, practically over. It's 11:11, by the way, when we're recording
11:11 today, yes. And so what are we looking at, man? That speedy Mercury gate, Gemini, we've been having that all year, and that's what's caused this. Almost like it feels like time has sped
time
up.
warp. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Like a wormhole.
So that's that, that energy of Jupiter and Gemini. And being an air sign as well, when you're looking at it in context, it's very mutable too. So when you're dealing with, those type of air signs, it's thought, and it's your thought forms, and Mercury is, on the ground, how fast things are moving, right? And Mercury is the mage in context. So when we're looking at the Mercury energy or the Mercury card itself, we're dealing with the ethers, we're dealing with that type of energy. And so, it's retrograding right now. So things are going to pull back a bit in context of that and slow down some. So we can kind of reform, regroup, take a gaze inside, kind of reform things within our own personal life, and then take a look at it, and then we got a chance to repackage and then launch again. Mm-hmm. Coming up. So yeah, that's a really cool way to look at Jupiter retrograde.
Yeah, so that's really good, because it's like the year went by so fast, but now we're coming up on winter, which is the time for slowing down, looking at what you've been weaving and manifesting all year, just taking inventory of where you're at and kind of leaning into that Isa energy via the runes. It's the icicle where you just you slow down, you be still, you go within, and you process what just happened these past 12 months, and that helps you reorient yourself to where you're going to go next, where you're going to keep putting your energy into something, or you need to pivot and go in a different direction. And this is the time for that we're moving into right now. This is the changing of the seasons. The leaves are falling. The temperature is cooling. What does that mean on a physical
Yes.
level? It means things are slowing down. That's what the cold is. It's literally slowing of activity. And so that's what better time to synchronize with the elements and nature and follow that. So perfect.
Yeah. Issa is an interesting rune,
Because
you know.
if I can, I want to hear what you're saying, but um, because I'm still very much a student of astrology. I consider myself a beginner. It's one reason I love these so much is not only are they useful in understanding what's happening, but I'm learning a lot just in the process of
Sure.
hearing you talk about it.
We're always the eternal student, man.
But I know that Jupiter is a very expansive energy. So I'm assuming that by retrograde, it sort of reverses that, where it's sort of like it's the Jupiter energy, but reversed. So it's sort of going in because Jupiter is also the teacher, right? So it's
Yes.
like what we were just talking about. Instead of expanding outwards and projecting, you're sort of taking that same energy, but turning it in towards yourself and like pulling it all back in.
Yeah. Think about it like, when it's direct, it's running the field, in context to, all of your luck, all of your prosperity, the beneficial factors of your life, right? And so it's really, expanding your consciousness. It runs a Sagittarian gate, right? To the galactic center as well. So when we're looking at Jupiter, it's the ignition of your galactic center. It also is also in the Piscean gate. It runs the 12th gate as well. So, the big picture. So when you see everything with your Jupiter energy, it's like, oh, wow, this is really, really powerful. So when it retrogrades, it's slowing down its orbit, and it's orbiting, and it's pulling back. So what's happening there? All that energy then is basically going from outside, and then it comes inside. And what it wants to do is restructure certain things depending on what gate it's in, depending on what it may be transiting in your own personal chart as well. And it has a way of being able to re-evaluate and reconstruct certain things to bring them into a more prosperity and beneficial aspect for your life.
Mm.
And that's really, how Jupiter works. Look, all you're seeing out there, everything you see in the solar system, everything you see is within you. All that's within you, guys. See, this is what you've got to really solidify. It's always as within, as without, as above, so below. So when we're looking at vibrational correspondence, you got to look at these planetary aspects is what is within you. Okay? So all that's inside of your makeup of who you are. So when we're looking at astrology and runes and all these arts of gnosis, you got to realize that's all within. So when Jupiter's going inside, it's retrograding and it's expanding your internal aspect, right? What's happening there is it's doing a reconstruct upon the things in your life that have been maybe holding you back, or that you haven't been able to see or be taught yet about certain things in your pathwork, in your life, that are going to help you to level up your consciousness. It's the expansion of consciousness. That's what Jupiter represents.
Mm.
So good point.
Excellent.
Yeah, very, very good point. So, when we're dealing with, these type of energies, you've got to always take it to, to vibrational correspondence and realize that, hey, this is happening inside of me. We're all seeing it on the outside as a projection, but it's happening inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, as a student of astrology, it's your responsibility then to go and look at, okay, so Jupiter's retrograding in Gemini. How's that aspecting my personal natal chart? See? So you go in, take a look at it and see if it's aspecting anything. And then you can take a look at it and say, oh, hey, wait a second. This is trining this. This is squaring that. It's in opposition to this, or it's actually transiting something. So when you look at those aspects, you're like going, okay, so now you can pinpoint certain certain aspects within your own life that are getting ready to change and shift, and then how you can actually repackage things to bring your life into a better reality field, in a better space than you're in right now. Like you
Mhm.
said, somewhere in the future, you look much better than you look right now.
Right.
And it's true, man. You've got to see it. As in this present moment, your future is being created
Exactly. Right now.
right now in this present time.
Yep.
So so these setups have been signaling major shifts, major changes getting ready to take place, not only on our own personal lives but on a collective level as well. And I think we kind of seen, taking it back to what happened about a week ago. We saw a big shift, right? I mean,
Mm.
stuff shifted like boom, and it was being signaled in October that this major shift was getting ready to take place on a collective level, and so when we're looking at the heavens, they are declaring what's getting ready to take place. It's like a signal. So it's
Mhm.
tapping on something that says, okay, get ready, this is getting ready to happen. They're prophesying what's taking place, what's happening, what's getting ready to happen in context.
Right.
So yeah, that's what the heavens do. They show us things if you
Mhm.
can read them.
Well, and it's kind of a chicken or the egg thing too, because the people that are orchestrating these global events, they know exactly what's going on, and
Yes.
they look at the stars, and they know how to synchronize things. I think there's a good reason why there's every 4 years there's this cycle, and then also whatever is falling on that time that it's set to have that changeover, they can align the events that they're moving for via their agenda
Yes.
to be boosted by the energies that are at play there. That's what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I want to add this caveat
Good
because
point.
we all know here on this channel that politics is a scam. It's a
Yeah.
farce. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have a real effect. It is affecting, our reality field that we live in. So yes, voting is bullshit. I don't think it actually matters. I don't think elections are legit in the way that we think that it works.
Right.
But politics is real and it does have an effect. And even these sort of regime changes between Republicans and Democrats, there is an energetic signature to these things that are all laying the stones when it comes to what they are weaving. The dark
Right.
ones, they have their, set path and their agenda, and like they're united in their plan, and they know what they're doing, and they are actively fucking doing it. Unlike the loser team, so-called freedom movement at the moment, that can change anytime we want. But I'm just calling a spade a spade. I
It's
mean,
true.
especially with the stuff I've been seeing, even
It's true,
just
man. I mean, you're not wrong.
all the infighting and stuff
Yeah.
lately, it's
Yeah.
just disgusting. But regardless, the point I'm just trying to make is that even though politics is bullshit, it is real and it does affect our world. And so it's still good to be observing these things and seeing how things are playing out. And I do feel like you were telling me earlier, Rodney, how it does feel like a real shift. Now, whether that's going to lead to something good is a different story, but it's just like it's a different flavor that they're bringing in here because they have to kind of keep this push and pull dynamic
Yeah.
going. They need to
Yeah.
keep people need some hope, and think we've been so beaten down the last 4 years, especially with the global catastrophe, the
Mm-hmm.
virus and all of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, that
Yep.
I mean it has been a brutal 4 years, like for
Totally.
anybody's,
Totally.
absolutely. So people need to feel like the sun is finally starting to peer through the clouds and
Yes.
warm things up a little bit more. So Like I said, what the results of that, as far as what they're doing, is yet to be seen. But they're aware of that, and they are counting on that, and that's what they're bringing in right now. We're probably gonna see some good things happen, regardless, just to make people feel like there's some hope again.
Yeah, it's interesting that they pinpoint those elections in Scorpio, so transformative energy,
Right.
so they do use the transits and the energies of the heavens against the people, even if it looks like it's benevolent. Oh, the dark night of the soul's over for America. Now we're going to come into a whole new period of hope and change, and we see this pendulum swing, the law of rhythm here. We had all the virus stuff,
Exactly.
and then everybody isolated and not connected and down, and it's all this heavy burden that's been on the shoulders, right? Everybody's felt like Atlas carrying the world on their shoulders, and now all of a sudden, oh wow, man, it got lifted, and now all of a sudden it looks like we could have this almost like going from a dystopian aspect to a utopian aspect, but what is that actually? What's actually happening to the collective mind? See, and that's what is the point of all this. If you can't keep people over here all the time, there has to be a swing.
Right.
And that's what we're having right now. We're having, in context to the law of rhythm, the pendulum is being let go here, and now there's this energy swing that's taking place from there, and you can feel it starting to swing. So it was like all the pressure built up from the pullback of the arrow now was let go and it hit the rope that was holding the pendulum swing over here and broke it, and now we see the swing taking place.
Yep.
That's how polytricks work.
Yes. And there's always going to be, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Exactly.
So the more that they're tightening down on people, when you squeeze something, like what's still in your hand is is tighter. You're squeezing it tighter, and it's getting more locked down. But there's always going to be stuff that slips through the cracks and pops out, and that's what they have to account for right now. Is there's a growing number of people that are like, the last 4 years were absolute horseshit. What's going on? We don't trust the media anymore, and all this kind of stuff. And now you're seeing all of this pushback against censorship, even politically. We were talking about this earlier as well.
Yes.
Elon buys Twitter, and all
Right.
these. There's the Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan. It's like this super Avengers team of freedom fighters, but they're fake.
Yeah, right.
They're
exactly.
fake freedom fighters. They're not actually
Trump train,
for freedom.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this is definitely going on, and yeah, it's going to get interesting for sure.
Yeah, because what are they actually doing? Taking it to the Wizard of Oz. It's the man behind the curtain, right? That we're dealing with here. It's what's occulted that people cannot see. You see this big fucking Oz in front of you, right? I am the great Oz, smoke and mirrors, but it's really, it's really not. So, when we're looking at the collective consciousness and the mind of the collective, we're looking at the subrealms. So we're looking at the outer planets in context to Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus. See? So that's exactly what's taking place. We have this full moon coming up now in Taurus that's going to be conjunct Uranus, and that's coming up here in a few days. So when we're looking at that particular energy, what is Uranus? Uranus is what? The great awakener, the igniter, right? It's the sovereignty, it's the free will, it's all of the energies of, being able to be a nonconformist, Aquarian, right? I'm not going to fit in with the status quo. So when we're seeing all this energy and all these videos being pushed out into social media now, they're all going to relate to this type of energy now. Okay, there's a great shift taking place. It's something new is getting ignited. And so now in the heavens, the Taurus new moon, which Taurus is what? It's the financial aspect of the world. It's the bull, right? So when we're looking at the bull, we're looking at the financial aspect in context to, into Taurus. It's also, the self-worth and self-validation of things, or validating something. Okay. This is what we're getting ready to see. What happened? Dude, did you see the stock market 1,500 points after the whole election?
Oh my God, yeah. And Bitcoin is literally still ripping right now. It's like
Did you see that?
84K right now.
Yeah, it's like boom. It's like there was this, like, all of a sudden catapult, like the arrow got shot,
Mhm.
And I thought that was interesting, because when you're looking at all this particular energy that was being signaled in October, this is what was used. You got to remember, even the dark ones, the dark mages, can look ahead at the heavens, and they can forecast what's getting ready to take place and then formulate their plans accordingly.
Yeah,
See?
absolutely.
So they already knew this setup was coming, right? They already have looked at it, see? And so when we're looking at that, we're seeing, okay, so that's how things are rolling out. So let's formulate a plan, and let's figure out how we're going to then, set this in motion in context to the next phase, or the next decade.
Exactly.
These guys run in decades, 10, 20, 30, 40 years ahead. See, they're not thinking in terms of, this week, next week, I got my football and my beer, the Chiefs are playing tomorrow. They don't think like that. See? And so we as mages have to start thinking like that.
Exactly.
We have to look at the big picture. We got to tap into that 12th gate, man.
Yes, sir.
So this is a very powerful setup with this particular full moon coming up in Taurus. It is, it's running my axis points to the sun. I have the sun in Taurus in the 8th house. So, this is a very energetic time for me during this, October, November time frame, because that's running all my 8th house energy. So I do get fairly energized. And it seems like on some level, if you really, really look at it and you're tuned in, locked in, you can feel, personally, I can feel the transformative aspects happening to my mind, and my heightened awareness starts to take place during certain transits and certain aspects with moon energies. So, be aware of what's going on in the heavens. Don't, take a look at it, guys, keep yourself in the loop in context to looking, making it a protocol to, looking at your transits, looking at the chart, taking a look at things and seeing how things are affecting you, for sure. But yeah, conjunct Uranus, full moon in Taurus, very, very powerful signal, coming up in context to the moon cycle, and what's getting ready to be rolled out to the ignition of something new.
Love it.
So let's look at Mars retrograde. When you're looking at Mars retrograde, it only happens once every 2 years, guys. It's an opportunity for really, really strong growth with especially with men, with your masculine force energy, being able to look at that, your warrior aspect, the aspect of, that is, driving your passion in context to that. And when Mars goes retrograde, and it's going to go retrograde in Leo this year. So what is that signaling? It's your kingship, guys and girls. It's the kingship of your life. What are you king of? And so Mars is retrograding. Last retrograde was in what? Gemini. Do you remember that? 6 or 7 months retrograde in Gemini. It felt like it was never going to end. I remember that like it was just yesterday, man. And now it's in Leo. Leo is a fixed fire sign, but is ruled by the sun. So when we're looking at this now, we're looking at the kingship of your life, of your masculine force. So looking at this in context, let's say, for example, you have Mars in Leo. Wow, you have an opportunity here to really level up your confidence, your strength, your warrior aspect, your masculine force, taking a look at where you're still maybe, not really getting it with your masculine energy right now. So Mars is going to go inside, it's going to go internal and say, okay, we got to look at your masculine force inside and say, how is this affecting not only my life, my relationships, but what I'm actually putting into action? And with your life, it's getting ready to chance, just like, to chance what we think that we're trying to do, but what we need to be doing. So look at it. We got Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. Now we're going to have Mars retrograde in Leo. That's what? Fire and air, baby. And what does fire and air do?
Explodes.
Exactly. It's an internal explosion within you that's getting ready to take place. The retrograde starts December 6th. So Jupiter will still be in retrograde, and we will have Mars in retrograde starting December 6th in Leo. Man, we're going to get some internal explosions within ourselves to really reconstruct our consciousness to what? To the actions that are taking place, to our benevolence, to our literal benevolence and luck in the reality field on a personal level. Man, this is powerful, powerful energies. And I'm really looking forward to it, because if you'd like, Logan, you started a business, other people listening have businesses, you're entrepreneurs, whatever. You can take it to your business, you can take it to every part of your life now.
Yeah.
Because as within, as without, right? You're getting reconstructed and ignited within, fire and air. And then that's going to shift and change and repackage something. And then we can take a look at it and say, okay, I can, use my 6th house now, my Virgo energy, to pinpoint the logic and reason of why I want to do this. And then package it all together. And then boom, we've got a direct. And now you roll that shit out, man. And then that's when that benevolence, that luck, that passion starts to ignite on the outside in your reality field. We got a chance to construct it on the inside and then roll it out to the outside, as within, as without, taking place. This is how we change our lives, people. High planetary magic.
Yeah, and that definitely tracks for me, because I've been just absolutely grinding this year, on multiple levels, not just driving the truck, but building the Ostara business and getting ready to launch this new product that I will be announcing at the end of this episode. And so that's what my entire 2024 has been consisted of, is just laser focus on those two major things, as well as just keeping my livelihood intact, earning money and putting it into investments and all of that. But now it's funny, because it's literally harvest time.
It is.
Now it's all coming to fruition. I didn't plan that. It's just amazing to me how the natural cycles just tend to sync, especially when you are somebody who I think is more like, when you have a more animistic mindset, it's you're more in tune with those things naturally.
You are.
So you don't have to try. It just kind of happens, and it's really magical to me. And so here we are, it's harvest time, and now everything's being launched. I launched Ostara last month. The new thing is coming out probably this week.
Yes.
And now it's time to just sit here and just reap the rewards and for all my hard work this year. So I'm super excited, and I definitely anticipate that will be playing out. Like, this is just the beginning of that, and now it's going to go all deep into next year and beyond of like, promoting and rolling everything out and getting some of that reciprocation for that energy.
Yeah, because what you put your passion into, what ignites up your sun, your Leo aspect, that sun, and that passion within you makes you excited. is where you need to be. And with Mars and Leo, that's exactly what it's saying. Hey, we're retrograding in Leo. You know, where is your passion? How do you want to configure it? Where do you want to send it? How do you want to package it? And then you take all that. Many of you may have projects that you want to launch, that you want to look at, going into 2025. Certain things in your life that say, it's time to do this. It's time to ignite this, right? So take that retrograde of Mars. It only happens once every 2 years. Take that energy, and then that's where you're going to be able to really construct something within your own self inside. Get it on paper, get it down, get it out there where you can have a vision of it. And then take it, and then when Mars goes direct, in context, launch that shit. Because that's where you're going to find that magic that's going to take place in your life that will change the trajectory of your timeline. Look, we can't be stagnant. We can't have entropy in our lives, allowing ourselves to just do the same old loops and behaviors over and over and over. Something like, Uranus has to come in and break that up. See, it's got to come in. You need tower moments in your life. Look, you need those moments, because those moments are the things that shake it up, baby. And sometimes you need things to be broken apart so they can be put back together correctly.
Right.
And we need those moments. We need that time, in our lives, even though it looks like it's, oh my God, everything's falling apart. It's really not. It's really not falling apart. It just seems that way. You have to not, like you said at the beginning of this thing, we're not victims to the stars. We're learning how to navigate the energies.
Exactly.
See? So get that. Every time you see that victim mentality come up, man, you've got to shut that down.
Absolutely.
You've got to say no, and you've got to formulate the pathway of empowerment and self-empowerment. And every time you do that, you're breaking the programming.
Yes. Yeah.
You're putting a kibosh on the mind virus.
And what I'm seeing right now is the exact opposite of that in the collective. Like
no kidding.
The victim mentality of the results of this event is off the charts, man. And it's wild to me that this whole thing has really made it clear to me one of the main ways that they're using this divide to manipulate people is the gender divide.
Oh, huge.
Like, again, it's a man versus a woman in politics again.
Yes.
And we saw this last time. It was Trump. It was against Hillary.
Yes.
They put another woman up against him.
Yes.
That's the spell that they are casting.
It is a spell cast.
It is a gender divide.
Yes.
And the results, I mean, they nailed it, because it's not even about Trump. These women that are going on TikTok and making these tantrum videos, and they're talking about doing all sorts of horrible things to just men in general. It's like, because Trump won, now men are just enemy number one. And it's okay to do all kinds of vile things. I don't even want to get into it, but throwing used tampons at their cars, and even as far as physical violence and stuff to just random people because they're a guy or they look like a MAGA. You know what I'm saying? That is wild to me, how just ramped up this cult mentality has gotten, and the victim mentality as well, because it's it's their victimhood and then they're not just healing from that. They're just projecting all of that trauma and rage into their perceived, the abuser, but not the real enemy, of course. That's part of the psyop, is they're confused. They don't know who the real enemy is. They think men are the enemy,
Well, that's the veil, man. That's that first veil of that illusion, right? Because if you can keep men and women in divide and conquer, there's never going to be any unity consciousness.
Right. And that's the greatest divide as far as
It is.
demographics. It's almost right
We
down the
real
middle.
didn't haven't we seen this before? This there's nothing new here. But again, it just goes to show you the polarity aspect of Gemini, Jupiter and Gemini. This is how they're using that retrograde energy in context. See,
Wow. Yeah. And there's a lot of masculine and feminine interplay in that
huge
dynamic.
amount. And when you
Yeah.
see it, you go, oh shit, this is actually what's going on. You can see the
Wow.
spell cast. See, you can see how they're using the benevolent aspect of Jupiter to a malevolent force. And so, interesting enough, when you look at the word maga in certain, I think it's Latin, it means magus or wizard.
Right.
So when we're looking at the wizardry of what's going on to the dark occultism that's taking place, what the fuck, man? You can see it. We can see it because, our first eye's open. We can see this shit, right? But most of the population is so polarized by everything, by this election. You saw the full scale of it here. Now, I mean, I'm not kidding you, man. People triggered right and left, even before, and they have what? They have the villain, they have the good guy, the bad guy, good cop, bad cop. It's all there, man.
Yep.
We see it all. And it's like
just basic psychology and manipulation. It's so textbook,
it is.
and yet
It's
people
textbook.
can't see it.
It's textbook, man. It sure is. And when we're looking at our own path work, we can't get caught in these psyops, man. And these distractions. We have to keep our focus on our own internal work. Getting that hardcore intelligence on another level, emotional intelligence on another level, our protocols to our logic and reason on another level. And forging something great and are making our reality field powerful, and forceful and having an impact. This is what they don't want you to do. They don't want you to be an impact into the ethers. They don't want you to be able to have some type of force. I'm talking about the higher force, the force within you impacting the reality field. They are scared as fuck of us mages waking the hell up and taking the reality field over. This is what the war we're in. This thing is not just happening. This is ancient shit, guys. This has been going on a very, very long time. And, we're catching up to it, And so I want to encourage everybody not to give up here. Don't stop doing what you're doing and be that force of change within your own life. Don't get stuck in the patterns and behaviors and loops of the same old, same old. Take a real evaluation of your life and your behaviors and what you're actually doing with your actions and your thoughts. And ask yourself this question: is it really benefiting me?
Exactly. Right.
See? Is it benefiting my life? Is it making my reality feel better? Is it empowering those in relationship around me in my inner circle?
That brings up something really profound too, because one of the hallmarks of the diseased mind is that it doesn't actually have its best interest at heart. That's why people turn to addictions that are self-destructive and things like that, because that's what the diseased mind is your sense of self is so distorted that it will act against its own self-interest to sort of get its most primordial needs met. And so it's like, what kind of person would, do that? Well, a person that's sick. That's exactly what defines that sickness.
That's
So
right.
that is a very important question to be asking yourself, and look at the answer to that. Because if you can see something and be truly honest with yourself, that is this pattern, is this behavior that I've been doing actually good for me? Is it having a positive effect? Is it helping something? And then if the answer is no, then also you need to go into why you've been doing that and heal that part of yourself as well, because that is the more root cause. And if that's not addressed, it's going to keep coming up in other ways that are antithetical to your own well-being. And that's very
And these
important.
are your narcissistic tendencies in context, see,
Yep.
where you are self-destructing, where you are self-sabotaging. And, and those particular aspects, run to the Mars energy. So you have to look at this retrograde to that and say, okay, where are these narcissistic tendencies still running my reality field, still running my life? Where am I still getting loosed out to that? And how can I change and transform? Because let's face it, Mars runs the Scorpio gate as well. So when we're looking at that 1/8, that octave between Pluto and Mars, right now we're in an opposition of it, see? So where there's an opposing aspect between where Mars and Pluto is. But again, this also gives us the opportunity to take a look at it. And when we're looking at the Mars energy, we truly have to own up to our narcissistic tendencies. We all have them, guys. Every one of us has. It's the mind virus, man. And so take a look at it and be honest with yourself, because honesty is going to give you the key. Quit lying to yourself. Quit telling yourself it's okay. Well, this is just who I am. Stop that shit, because that's not who you are. That's who
Right.
you've been told to be. And you've got to get into that place where you start to know thyself. And that's what the arts of gnosis are here for. It's for us to learn how to know ourselves. All of them, when you take it, astropsychology, numerology, runes, tarot, all the way down the line are, human design. All of these are gnosis techniques for us to weave the tapestry of our own templating, so that we can then take a look at how we tick, how I am, who am I here? Why do I do what I do? And
Right.
then you can literally then start to break it down to the path where it takes years. Logan, you've been on this path for a long time. I've been on this path for quite a while. It takes years, man, to really dive in to the process of gnosis. But the beautiful thing about it is that you see your growth. You see the passion of that growth within you. And you start to actually look back at where you were and that version of yourself. And then you say, wow, I am so far away from that guy or that girl. Then right now, then I am so proud of what I've done. I know there's more work to do, but raise the glass of mead to yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. We're in it for the long game.
It is the long game, and that's what we have to be playing. It's a marathon of our soul progression.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we have to be playing that game, because that's where we're going to win. We will stand victorious.
The only way to win.
It is, man.
And it's why we're losing, is because people are running from themselves and their power and their healing.
Or pointing the finger at someone else's shit and saying, ooh, look at you, look at that, and not realizing they're pointing 3 back at them.
Right.
You look at your own shit, motherfucker. Quit pointing the finger at everyone else's bullshit. It's true. I'm sorry, I get a little passionate about it, but it's true, man. Put your own self on the hot seat, and,
Right.
there's nothing wrong with calling things out for what they are.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, man. I get it. But don't you have some type of semantics and vocabulary in context to how you can say something and make it empowering to that other person? I mean, this is the idea of, leveling up your vocabulary as well, formulating sentences in a correct way to protocol, where it empowers people to change. It doesn't bring them into a place where you're just, making a judgment on something, and that's the way it is, and that's the way I see it, so fuck you.
Right.
And that's that's where we're at with all this bullshit. That's where it's come to. Because why? Because people really, truly are getting tested on their internal work.
Right.
what they've
Yeah.
actually done.
And that judgment isn't coming from a place of true care to
Or truth
elevate.
in itself. Yeah, right.
They're
Exactly.
not trying to elevate people. They're trying to destroy them with their words. And because it keeps them up here and they want to, I'm right, you're wrong, right?
Right.
It's that narcissism like you were talking about. But
And that's why Jupiter's in Gemini. It's testing everything in context to our communication, our words, our thoughts, our sentence formulations, all the way down the line.
right.
And it's showing us, okay, what, where do you need to be, mutable? Where can you change? That's what mutable means. It means being able to change your position when truth is actually presented to you and you are in the murk stave of your life, of a rune. Say you're in a murk stave of a rune, that's because the gate's closed and you haven't actually been able to integrate the runic energy. What does it do? It creates a murk stave, a wall, so that you can look at the mirror and say, okay, I need to flip this in my life. I need to reverse this behavior.
Exactly. Because
See?
everything is just polarities.
Yeah.
You're just trying to find that balance. So
Exactly, man. And same thing with astropsychology. So
yep.
Jupiter being in Gemini, it's testing our communications, it's testing how we roll things out with our tongue, how we're formulating our thoughts, how we're formulating sentences, everything. It's testing all of that,
Yep.
You know?
So yeah, man, as we're coming up here on the hour, probably a good place to sort of just review everything we've covered. If you would like to, just kind of summarize all the main aspects, what we've covered and what the key takeaways are, and then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, so, the energies of 2024 have presented themselves. Look back and say, how have I been able to, change my own life through the navigation of the stars, with my own personal path work? How have I been able to then take these energies of 2024? It's finishing up now, and then going into 2025. What do I want to do next year? Where do I want to take my life? And how then can I use and work with, the solar spiral of creation, the stars of our lives, as within as without, and then be able to navigate those energies to bring myself into a higher level of awareness and consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And then use that energy then and in the reality field to make my life better, financially, mentally, emotionally, all the way down the line. And so that's what's coming up. We've got, we had these setups, a big shift is taking place. They've used the shift in context to, to their plans. Fuck all that. You got your own plan. You got your own life to look at, the relationships of your own life. How are you navigating those? The other thing I didn't get into is that Venus is getting ready to move into Capricorn here in this, in the next week. So, where are the foundations of my relationships? Are they good foundations? And have I chose the right people to be in my life? In context to helping me build the foundations of my life and where I want to take things. So bringing that into context, what are we looking at here going into 2025? 2025 starts with a Mars retrograde at December 6th, and it goes through February 23rd. So we've literally got a little over 2.5 months to really work with our passion and what lights up our soul from that Leo energy, and begin to really take an initiative to formulate something within ourselves using the retrograde of Jupiter and Mars, and ignite something very, very benevolent, powerful, and beautiful within ourselves that we can bring forth and then roll out at the beginning of next year, going into February and March next year. So take an evaluation of yourselves, guys. There's nothing wrong with doing that. There are times, and I covet these times. I really do. When I can lay in my bed in the darkness, shut everything off, and just lay there and go within myself and take that meditative time in the darkness to look at my life, take a real review of my choices and what I'm doing, and then look and see, and work with the higher force, work with, that connecting with that, and take a look and see where I can recalibrate things to make them better. And that's a great practice to do, to protocol into your life. It's like breathing, doing breathing exercises. I mean, you do a meditation. You don't do it all the time, but there's certain times when you need to shut all the social media down, shut everything down, shut down the relationships, turn off the phone, turn off everything, get into your bed, lay down, breathe, and just get into the theta state and look at your life.
Well said.
Good medicine, man. Good medicine.
Absolutely. Right. Because there's always something to distract you. That's what it's there for.
Absolutely.
Hey, look over here. Look over here. Don't think about anything. Don't go within. Don't, take inventory of your life or reevaluate things. It's just like, oh yeah, I'll get to that later. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. And then you never get to it. Right. And then life is just sort of passing you by, and you're only semi-coherent to it. And before you know it, years have gone by, and you're just like, oh shit, where am I? What am I doing?
Yeah, because
especially the older you get, because you
absolutely
become more and more aware that you only have so much time.
You can't allow other people to make choices for you. That's the other thing that people do. They're affected by what other people are, in their lives
think and say, and
exactly. So you've got to look, man, you got to know who you are. You've got to forge that in context to your templating
and what you're about,
and who you are and what you're about and why you're here and all of that. See,
right.
And then once you get that formulation, you start to know who you are. Then that's when the recognition takes place. That's when you start changing things in your life. And so all these arts of gnosis are available to you. There's teachers out there like Logan and myself, that you can hit up and they help you to navigate this stuff. We're not here so you can be codependent upon us. We don't want that shit. We want to be able to bring you into a space where you are dependent on yourself to navigate these energies, to do it, to make it happen. We're just there to be a catalyst to that aspect. Anytime you see a teacher that you have to be codependent on, you're not in a good space.
Yeah.
That teacher should be teaching you how to depend on yourself. You don't need my services any longer. You got it. You get it. Take them torch, take the baton and run with it, man. And Absolutely. Then if you need a correction, if you need help down the road somewhere, hit me up. But dude, you got it.
Right.
And that's what we're doing. That's why we put out the content that we put out and what we do.
Yes, sir.
So that kind of wraps it up.
Yeah, great stuff, man. I love these. Hopefully everyone has enjoyed this, and if you did get value, of course, the easiest way to help support the channel, just like the video. And I guess I will talk briefly about what I'm announcing. So by the time this video drops, maybe I've already announced it, but either way, or if I haven't, then you're getting early hint here. But I'm launching a rune course, and it's called Rune Shamanism. It's going to be eventually a rune mastery course with 3 segments. So this is actually just the first course of that 3-part rune mastery, and it is available now. So just go to courses.thewizardfactory.com. Link will be in the description, and you can go ahead and get that. If you want to get a little taste of it, you can just there's a free mini course that just covers the first 3 runes. That'll give you a good idea of what the full course is about, except in a lot more depth, not just about the individual runes, but how to understand them holistically, have the proper mindsets to truly understand them, get the most value out of them in your life in a very practical, useful, day-to-day kind of a way. So if you want to try the free sample course or the mini course, that just go to learnrunes.com, and you can check that out. So there that is. Again, do join the community, the Wizard Factory Inner Sanctum group on Facebook, and there's a mini course that comes with that as well. So that will be the initiation package down below. And also, one last thing, check out the Patreon. I'm going to be starting to put a lot more exclusive content over there. So I really want to kind of put more value on that platform. I haven't really done much with it or promoted it that much. So I just want to kind of be talking about it more and sending people over there, because I am going to be adding a lot more stuff that you can't get anywhere else. So if you're a big fan of the Wizard Factory, you want to support it, and you want to get even more awesome stuff, and I'll be putting more perks on those tier lists as well. So, might as well sign up now, especially because I'm considering raising, some of the prices, because I'm going to be putting more value there. So check that out. And Rodney, tell the people where they can find you and get consults from you and all that good stuff as well.
Yeah, I did get the first segment of that rune course. I went through it. It's really good. I mean,
yeah,
it's classy, man. I mean, it really has a really good feel to it. So you guys need to really check that out.
Yeah, thanks.
So I just wanted to throw that little out there, but it is,
of course,
it's great.
Yeah.
So,
well, you'll be working through the full course, you said, this week. And,
yes, I will be. Yes,
doing a testimonial as well. So I'm
absolutely
really excited to hear your final thoughts after you've gone through the whole thing. But
absolutely,
I know you're going to love it, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So my website's heartcoreproductions.com. So you can go there, check out. I have all my readings there, and you can get a hold of me there as well. Also, heartcoreproductions9@gmail.com. You can hit me up there for any type of correspondence. I am on Facebook, Rodney Goodwin, and I do have a Hardcore Productions Facebook page as well, where you can actually book a session. So you can get a hold of me those ways. My readings are pretty much done on Sundays and Mondays. Those are the only 2 days I actually have to do readings. The rest of the time I'm working on my bistro. So you can hit me up and we can set something up in context to transit readings. We can look at your natal blueprint. We can also look at your solar return configuration in context to where the energies are this year. If you're having a birthday or whatever, a solar return, then we can look at where the energies are going for the next year in context to how they're configuring within magnetizing within your DNA as well. And then also I do rune readings, I do tarot readings, and if you need just regular counseling as well, I could do that. So all my readings are on my heartcoreproductions.com website, and you can take a look at those and hit me up if you're looking for any type of counseling or readings, and I can help guide you into being ignited into a new place into your pathway.
Absolutely. So hit him up. He does great work. Definitely recommend that. And so that's going to be it for us today. And hope you enjoyed it. We'll definitely see you in the next one. Stay tuned for a lot more content coming out, as I'm going to be really focusing in now that I've finished up these big projects and really getting back to my main focus with this channel. So thanks for sticking with me, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. So until next time, be empowered, inspired, and encouraged. Much love.